And now, Are You My Jungler? Written and read by Clayton Captain Flowers Reigns. Illustrated by George Red Raptor 5 Allmeyer.
Are you my jungler? I'm on to the Rift. It's a big day. But thankfully, my jungler's on the way. Are you my jungler? No, you're ganking top at level 3 to swing the matchup. My jungler must be elsewhere. Are you my jungler? No, you've gotten both scuttles, and you've kept river control for 10 whole minutes. My jungler must be elsewhere. Are you my jungler? No. You've given your mid laner blue, and I have to spend TP for the second time while Syndra gets all those plates. My jungler must be elsewhere. Are you my jungler? No. You and your support, you're invading and farming our wards for high vision score. My jungler must be elsewhere. Are you my jungler? No. You've won the 50-50 at Drake. And Herald. And the next Drake. And Baron. My jungler truly must be elsewhere. I've finally found my jungler. He's not ganking top. He's not getting crabs. He's not giving blue. He's not controlling vision. He's not landing smites. He's getting Krugs.
Wuju style.
Again. Better jungler wins. The end.
Welcome back to the LCS Countdown, where we're gearing up for Game 1 of the day. Cloud9 versus Dignitas. And Game 1 has the Spring Split MVP Blaber hitting the Rift. And on a jungle-focused day, it's impossible to not talk about his historic start to his career.
Blaber is incredible. I mean, he's been around a little bit longer than I think people realize. You know, he was drafted by C9 in 2017 Scouting Grounds, and then he had been subbing in and out of the LCS basically since then with a little bit of extra time to finish high school because he was taken so young. But ever since then, you know, 2018 summer, he's actually been coming in and out. And so he's played more games than I think people realize. And he has the second highest start win rate ever through the first 50 games that we've ever seen out of a North American player. And it has been so incredible how well he's done. The only people better than him were that 2013 C9 roster that exploded onto the scene way back when it was still a totally underdeveloped league.
I think the fact that he stands there by himself is a testament to how good he is, right? You have Huni, Reignover, okay, they're together. You've got Bio, Contract, Centaurians. There's a lot of these players that were also in incredible teams. Nobody else from the time that Blaber is playing is moving up into that record. Like, he alone is just tearing up the league.
Yeah, it's quite a precipitous drop-off, you know, once you get past those first couple clumps of people. But that point you're making, Crumbs, about the fact that he's there individually is so phenomenal to me. And then, of course, you have to take into account that, as you said, Mark, this is only looking at the first 50 games. Those Cloud9 players, of course, continued to play on. But Blaber, he's still going too, right? And so we don't even know yet how great this guy's career can get or can become.
He's the kind of player who would get an offer from the LPL.
Yeah, and I think the other thing, too, is not just, okay, he has an insane win rate, but these are these all-time ranking for LCS junglers. If the stat exists, Blaber is basically the best. It is insane how dominant he is. And so while all those other people might have had one more game or one less game than him, no one has come onto the scene and dominated the way that he has for his position. And that's why I would make the case that this is the best start for a player's career we have ever seen in North America.
Yeah, if you can look at these stats, like normally you'll see someone who has like a big gold share or a big farming percentage, and they'll lack kills or something. Like, you know, there's a give and take to how you play this game. But if you look at Blaber's, like, he's actually leading in all these kills and assists, and in gold and XP. So he's not playing this like one-dimensional style, I'm gonna gank everyone. He's actually playing a whole lot of styles, and he's successful at all of them right now.
And if I'm a new jungler that's trying to understand or fit into a team or not sure what style I want, I'm looking at every single Blaber bot and just trying to copy him because clearly no one else is at that level. And if I can just get an ounce of that for my own gameplay, then I think you'll be in a really good spot.
I would say, make sure you're surrounded by good teammates as well. Because
I would like one
think
Nisqy,
the rest
please.
of C9 does a good job of propping him up, even though he's phenomenal.
Yeah, without a doubt, it is a team game. I want to put a little more context around that first 50 games and the record that is being held by the original C9 roster. It took them until their 68th game to drop another game. So that we showed their first 50. They played all the way to 68, where they lost their next game.
Who beat them?
Who beat them? Yeah, who did beat them? I think it was one Dignitas and Crumbs who beat them. You were playing Lee Sin against Meteos' Kazakhs. But essentially, I have to ask the question,
How did I do it?
Blaber's now just cresting 57, 58 games in the LCS. We've eliminated his international statistics alongside the original C9 guys. Do you think he can hit that 68 mark and surpass the original Cloud9 roster without dropping games? Are we witnessing the birth of a new GOAT, the new greatest of all time in the LCS?
I'm of the opinion that we're starting to see it. I don't know if he will eventually take over the win rate thing because it was such a different scene back then. It was a lot, less competition, I think it's fair to say. There was not nearly as much money in the scene. But I also think that his individual dominance is better than anyone we've seen before. And so if he can continue to win, continue to pick up MVPs at the rate that he is doing, there's no reason that in a year or two we're not talking about him as the greatest North American player ever.
Already in that conversation for MVP again here in the Summer Split. All right, so Blaber is the clear #1 jungler in the league, if not the best player in the league, full stop. But I want to take a look at the remaining competitors that he has, and let's start with Santorin, the guy who finished second to him in spring when it came to the finals.
Yeah, I think Santorin actually has a lot of really incredible stats to back him up. Overall, I mean, he has the second highest kills and assists at 15, so he's super active in the early game. Second in kills. He's actually higher in KDA than Blaber this split. And of people who have played all 7 games, he's first in damage percent. So he is someone who doesn't die very often, makes almost no mistakes, while still getting his team ahead, and often playing a team-centric role where he's taking the trundle when people need it and stuff like that. And so I think Santorin has low-key been incredible this split.
The exciting part about Santorin is that he actually didn't have a great phase in his career before FlyQuest, joins the team and is really showing us, like, we don't really know how long some of these players can go for. Like, you can just hit multiple peaks and still be an incredible asset to your roster.
Let's talk about another person who was expected to be an incredible asset to his roster coming in spring. Rough start for the squad, Crumbs. Team Liquid's Broxah.
Yeah, and Broxah came in as the supportive jungler. We knew that he was going to be quite selfless, and that selflessness right now is putting him at the bottom of the gold share for junglers. He is only above Wiggly. Now, the interesting thing about that is he actually has 2 Graves games still under his belt, so that is not what you would expect from that. And that is the one thing that I want to see Team Liquid work a little bit more around, because it's become somewhat telegraphed that this is what his style is going to be, and so either the lanes have to deliver a little bit more, or he's going to have to be playing a little bit more selfishly to be able to really get the most out of those Graves or Kindred if he wants to play champions.
And while Team Liquid has found some footing here in summer with a 5-2 record, probably I want to talk about another jungler, top-tier jungler who has a lot of expectations swirling around him. Former MVP, just like Blaber. In fact, the man that Blaber replaced, Svenskeren.
Yeah, Svenskeren was always known for aggressive picks and kind of relentless engages, so he's definitely up there for really strong junglers in North America. However, his stats are kind of like the anti-Blaber. He's pretty low in every single category, so if you weren't watching these games and you were only going by stats, you probably wouldn't be very hyped on Svenskeren. But from the eye test, if you watch him play, he's a really strong player. But when they're losing, I know Crumbs mentioned they get stompy wins or stompy losses. He's very comfortable dying in these losses.
Yeah, I don't know if anyone saw the end of the last game. The game was basically over, and he still ran straight at the enemy team by himself to try and throw an axe at the minion wave to try and clear it, in the off chance somehow they rally. And so I definitely appreciate a player who really does not care about the stats and will do whatever he thinks is the best thing to do in that moment.
Yeah, head first, all in, commits to the play. Mark, we got one more jungler to talk about, and that would be TSM's new jungler, Spica, who has impressed us so far.
Yeah, it's the defense against the dark arts position, as we love to call it, and he's actually held up pretty well. He's more of a Lupin in that regard, and he has pretty strong, or looked pretty strong, excuse me. He's first in team jungle proximity, third in kills and assists, third in kills, and then there's a massive drop-off behind Blaber, Santorin, then him, and then it's just, another 10 people behind. And then on top of that fact, he has the second highest goal difference at 10. So he's actually been very good for TSM throughout the early portion of the split.
It's awesome to see him level up. Crumbs, we're talking about junglers. I think it's important to remember that in the game of League of Legends, we don't start when the minions meet in the mid lane. It starts from the moment you leave the fountain, and junglers are so integral to early game strategy. Let's dive into that a little bit more.
Yeah, I did some digging around for what Cloud9's jungler does in the early game, and specifically I wanted to see what value are they getting before minions spawn, and this is them going for level 1 late invades. Now, they're going for these late invades when they know they have stronger level 1 matchups, and it usually results in some really chaotic situations if the enemy team wants to take them. Now, in this one, well, you're up against an Ivern. Ivern cannot smite without having used his passive to secure the camp earlier, so Cloud9 can get Blaber to level 2, and even though the fight ends up being quite messy for Immortals and Cloud9, they 3-buff Ivern, and you set the tone for how the game wants to start, and they'll eventually actually get some more kills going their way. Even though Blaber dies here, I believe Zven will pick up one onto Apollo, and because he doesn't have teleport, well, now you've got Zven winning the bottom lane. So this is another invade that Cloud9 goes for. The same situation here. You know you have a stronger early game, and against a jungler that wants to power farm, you set him behind from the get-go, and he's not going to be able to hit level 6 quite as easily.
Now, probably let's talk about the value of invades, because obviously not every team should be doing it every single time. What do you actually gain from a movement like this?
Well, there's actually a lot of benefits you can get. In this game in particular, we have Nocturne getting pushed off as blue, so Nocturne's goal in the early game usually is to farm until 6 so he can get access to his ultimate. So this just puts behind Nocturne's early game win condition. So that by itself is really strong. And kind of a maybe subconscious effect it has on the game is just the fact that most players have an idea of how their lane plays out in the first 10 minutes of the game. But no one really predicts, like, oh, how's my lane going to play when my enemy jungler is behind me? So by invading, you're actually kind of changing the landscape of the early game. When your opponent is probably preparing for something more standard, more easy, you kind of throw a wrench in the system and be like, all right, well, my jungler's behind you now. How are you going to play out your lane?
I think right there we decide, or rather explain the value of having strategy, whatever it is, but having an intention in your early game as opposed to waiting for that minute and 55 seconds when the minions actually start smacking each other. Let's focus in on game 1 of the day. We know that Cloud9 are clear favorites here, and I don't think we want to dance around that topic. So I thought it might be wise to bring back the over-unders that we kind of kicked up in jest yesterday. It started with the total number of minutes we expect this game time to go. 24 was where I put the line. Mark, yesterday you jumped under that line. Is that where you still land?
I'm still going under, baby. It would be the fastest game of the split for C9, but I believe in them. I think they will. And, Dignitas are down to scrap.
The other two of you got a little more faith. Why is that?
I think the game just takes a little bit longer to close out. Despite you having some fun, I think that the game, to put it under 24, has to be a hell of a stomp.
Yeah, I think Dig is going to try to put up a fight. I don't think it's going to be as messy as you think. I think they're going to try to clean it up a bit.
All right. Next up, turrets taken by Dignitas. So this is solely on Dignitas' side. We're putting the line at 1.5. Let's get the reveal, see where you guys land on this one before I make you explain yourselves. Well, bad.
All right, good. I'm glad we all agree.
So all of you think Dignitas is taking no more than 1 turret?
I think they'll specifically take one, actually. I think they will take 1 turret. The reason being, what will likely happen is Cloud9 overcommits to pushing one side with a Rift Herald push, and then they'll get a ton over there, and then Dignitas says, oh, we got to trade, so let's just try to get a turret on the other side of the map, and then that will be their first turret.
Okay, Mark, how do we quantify turret plates? Do those actually count? What if they take 8 out of 15? No, full turret or nothing?
Full turret or nothing.
Okay,
it says turrets, not turret plates.
The turret plates are
That's true. All right.
Yeah, it's
we take
a consolation prize. If they can get
take
them,
it at face
good
value.
job.
All right, fair enough. They're all going under, so Dignitas, you just got to get more than one turret or take the win. Who knows? Last one here would be combined kills per minute between the two squads. We're putting the line at 0.83. Now, let me give you some context on that. The context is that C9 averages in their games 0.76 combined kills per minute, a little bit less. Their bloodiest game, though, was actually against FlyQuest, and that was at 0.9. So we split the difference there and threw the line down. Do you think Dignitas and Cloud9 are going to go at it and give us a scrappy one?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I want to see these over-unders.
Yeah, I'm going under. Good. It probably
But Crumbs thinks Crumbs expects blood.
Yeah,
Why is that?
Okay, so first of all, Dig had no problem going for scrappy fights yesterday, so I don't expect that to stop today, because that's how you fight. You got to fight against Cloud9. You have to be willing to fight them. So if they at least understand that, they'll go for some scrappiness. And from what we saw from Cloud9 against CLG, they were really strong early game. They were blowing summoners left, right, and center. So that's going to continue, and they'll just find blood and run with it.
I have a feeling Mark thinks that all that's going to happen is C9 aces every fight, and therefore you never have enough kills coming back the other way to get them. All right, well, Nisqy and the rest of Cloud9, their emote game is quite strong. So instead of doing an over-under on how many times they're going to hit the penguin dabbing or Licorice spams the camp, we thought it'd be fun to fire up a little game of Emote Bingo. So this is an example card. I believe it's actually my card. But what you can do is you can head to any of these analyst Twitters, as well as our two casters, Pastry Time and Ezreal. We have each crafted a card of emotes to be filled out. There you can see Mark's in his screen there. Pick your favorite card. Pick the analyst that you want to win. That would be me. And play along with us during this first game of the day. I'm hoping we get spams all around. I'm very curious to see which column, row, or diagonal is going to win at the very least. Crumbs, what are you thinking here? What do you think is the most obvious emote that we're going to get super early on?
I think we're going to absolutely get the Angry Bee, but I also have to say, these guys that are advertising their cards, any good product doesn't need any advertising. So I can already say at least Dashes and Eyes are probably better than Marks and Prawley. So head over to Twitter and check it out.
I concur on that front. Go check those out on Twitter. Pull your favorite one. Time for us to hand it over to Pastry and Ezreal to get us into that first game of the day.
Thank you very much, Dash. My name is Julian Pastry Time Car, and I'm joined by Isaac Ezreal Cummings Bentley. And apparently, no good products needs advertising. Ezreal, thoughts on Crumbs' comment?
That's exactly why you never see ads for things like Coca-Cola or Pepsi.
Never seen
no
that.
cars really do any ads. Really, it's all word of mouth for all the most popular products in the world.
Yeah, like League of Legends, which thankfully for you at home, we have right here, as Cloud9 are going to be taking on Dignitas for our very first game. As expected, every game against Cloud9 is Cloud9 favored. This likely the most one-sided one just based on the standings, but again, there is an intangible prize for being the first team to beat Cloud9, and if Dignitas can do that with how much they've been through with subbing in a whole new top side, look, it's going to be impressive to say the very least, but chances are not looking good.
No, I mean, you gotta look at the records, it's a mirror image there, just inverse, you got the 7-0, you got the 0-7. Dignitas also coming off of, honestly, a really bad game yesterday. They have made some swaps. Dardoch and Fenix did come in, but I've got to say, I think Fenix actually had the worst professional TF game I've ever watched. Like, he had a really rough game, and Fenix has been really strong in the past, so we know that that's not necessarily his level. I do believe that he can give a lot better than what he showed yesterday, but he had a really, really tough game. Dardoch made some critical errors. I think it was, less egregious than how Fenix played, but he made some errors that were really, really punishing, over chasing and giving up Ocean Soul and things like that. So I do think that we're going to have, for Dignitas to even compete, like an incredible game. These people will have to play, at their peak, I think, to be able to not get absolutely ran over by Cloud9. Even if you do play at your best, doesn't mean you're necessarily going to win when a team is this good.
Yep, that's certainly been the challenge. We'll see if Dignitas are the first to crack it. Quickly recapping bans for everyone. Graves, Trundle, Azir, Thresh, Olaf, and Varus. First pick TF. So Cloud9 clearly valuing this champion. That does give Aphelios over to Johnsun, but we've seen Aphelios start to, be pretty happily given over by a lot of teams. I think Cloud9 more than prepared for that one. This one is interesting though. A very early Wukong here for Lourlo.
Yeah, blind. So, you know, a lot of people have had a lot of discussion about Wukong because it was kind of conspicuously absent from the LCS. You know, Licorice talking about the fact that he felt like it really was blind pickable, that it was, you know, worth playing in pretty much all situations. Lourlo, I do know, plays this champion quite a lot. You know, I have seen him play it in solo queue. But there's also kind of this second camp that we're saying, no, you actually can't blind pick Wukong. You will get smashed by certain counters. We know that Licorice is comfortable playing a lot of the more risky picks, so I would be interested to see if he does want to go for something, you know, that is a really strong matchup into the Wukong, you know, try to play more for that 1v1. The Volibear does come through. It's a fine matchup into the Wukong. I do think it's advantageous early. Wukong is more about the team fighting, but this Volibear could also be going to the jungle, so we have to remember that.
Yep, I think both those top laners could potentially go to the jungle. I think Volibear is a bit more likely based on games we've seen, but there is potentially some flexibility there as well for Dig, in which case taking Wukong early is made a lot easier. Also interesting to see Morgana back in. We actually saw Demonte play this yesterday into Fenix, I believe. So taking this as a counter to Twisted Fate.
Yeah, it is a good matchup into Twisted Fate. It's also flexible down to support, so I do actually like the pick a fair bit. It is very likely going to be mid lane. You know, the thought process is simply this, right? You know, a lot of the gank assist, the power from TF, you know, if you want to call your jungle mid lane, comes from the gold card. You can black shield the gold card, and TF wants to, if he's being pushed in, get out of lane, right? You know, if you're not actually going to win that 1v1. So Morgana can max W, can actually wave clear incredibly fast once you have some levels, have some points in that W, so you try to lock the TF under his turret so Nisqy can't be getting out to those side lanes, ulting around, you know, diving your top lane, diving your bot lane. You know, that is kind of the thought process of the Morgana. Didn't really, you know, work out as well when we did actually see it come out yesterday. You know, I can't remember exactly who was it that played it. It might have been Demonte, it might have been someone else, but it was in a relatively low engaged comp. They did just kind of struggle. It was actually against TSM. I remember that's what it was. Because Bjergsen, it might have been Demonte then. Because yeah, Bjergsen played TF into this, and he ran over the game despite being into the Morgana. He was just everywhere.
Yeah, that's true. I like it with the Wukong as well, so we'll see how it all works out. Phase 2 ban's almost done though. Lee Sin, Bard, Nautilus, and one more here for Cloud9 to take out. Team's very clearly prepared here, as the draft has actually gone on quite quickly.
Yeah, you can see that Yuumi has dropped in priority a fair bit. Yuumi actually, you know, not being banned out just yet whatsoever. You know, normally when Ezreal is actually picked, you would see the Yuumi banned out pretty quickly, but they're banning out Lee Sin, so assuming that Volibear is going to be going top, taking away Bard also. You know, Bard can be quite strong. Morgana Karma is actually the exact combo that we did see played against TSM. It was Karma support. They went for a Graves jungle, you know, kind of this double marksman style, and then you have, you know, the shields and the speed ups from the Karma, as well as the CC immunity with the black shield and the magic, you know, shield there too from the Morgana, so trying to really kind of empower them. And this actually looks like it will be a Volibear flex. So I do think that this is going to be Volibear jungle. I think that's more likely than the Sett, and then Sett would be playing top against the Wukong, and Yuumi coming through for support. So pretty cool stuff.
Also, your screen is not broken. Cloud9 actually did miss a ban in Phase 2. They just ran out of time, apparently. So won't be getting that one back. There's Mordekaiser, though, as the last pick for Dig. And that does maybe mean that Dardoch
Wukong jungle
is going to be jungling here as Wukong.
Okay, very interesting. So Wukong jungle is actually, you know, quite high win rate. It's played a fair bit. You know, in solo queue. In competitive, I haven't really been seeing it. I am going to try to quickly look and see actually, like, you know, how often Wukong has been played in jungle. Because it is, like, you know, a decent champion. It's actually 0 picks in jungle, as far as I can see in the top region. So this would actually be, if what I'm looking at is correct, the first, you know, worldwide of those top regions pick for Wukong jungle, and Dardoch is going to be the one bringing it out. You know, the early clear, I think, is fine. I do think that this is a champion that can team fight incredibly well. The ganking power is somewhat low, but it is one of those champions that you can just look to farm. You can look to play it a little bit more passively and try to get to this stage where then you're a really effective team fighter. And that, to me, feels like they just didn't feel comfortable playing Wukong into Sett. You know, with that flex coming through, they wanted to move over toward some Mordekaiser, and it feels like it's more about that top lane matchup than it is something jungle specific, because Wukong, you know, isn't going to have this advantageous matchup against Volibear. It's not going to have really strong early ganking power, so it is going to be mostly about team fights for them.
It's actually really nicely navigated here for Dig as far as the draft goes, but one good draft is not enough to upset Cloud9. As we've learned, you need an awful lot of things to go right, and you need to play very well to even upset this team, let alone beat them, which of course no team has been able to do just yet. So, I mean, it's cool that Dardoch's bringing out something new. This is one of his advantages, I would say, as a player, is that he's always willing to play new picks. He's likes to play different stuff in the jungle. He's willing to be aggressive. Like, this is the kind of thing that Dardoch can bring to a game and potentially find an upset with. But as we've talked about, even though it is jungle week or jungle day today, beating Blaber and the rest of Cloud9 is no easy task.
Yeah, it's really difficult. And I think one of the things you always have to keep in mind is that, when you're looking to beat Blaber, it's not just about the jungle 1v1. It's about how well Cloud9 enables Blaber in a multiple, different ways, right? Earlier on the analyst desk, Crumbs was talking about some of the level 1s that Cloud9 does. They're one of the teams that, when they have an advantageous level 1, will often invade to get a preferential start for Blaber to try to put enemy junglers behind. They're picking things like TF, like Galio, so that Nisqy can roam and actually assist Blaber. Blaber is more free to invade because he knows that they're going to have pushing lanes oftentimes, and they're going to be the first to move and help him fight at scuttles, fight at buffs. So that's something that you really do have to keep in mind. And especially when Dardoch has gone for more of this, I would look at it as more of a teamfight pick. Like, this feels like more of you're waiting to level 6 and then trying to look to really fight at dragons where you're going to be strong. It's less about the 1v1. It's less about the early ganks. You've got to be careful that you don't just get run over by Cloud9 prior to that, because Cloud9 is a team that will get super aggressive if they see the opportunities in the early game.
Well, shout out to our stats team. You're right, Ezreal. I believe no major regions have currently played Wukong jungle until this game, but Wukong jungle is 5-3 in the TCL, the CBLOL, and the OPL. So across those three smaller leagues, he has actually seen quite a lot of success.
Yeah, and it is popular in solo queue, right? It's one of those things where it's definitely not a bad pick. It is more of a surprising pick because it is the first time, in those major regions that we have seen it. But, this is, I believe, one of the highest win rates. Yeah, it's over 52% win rate in solo queue right now. So it's very, very solid. It is a really strong team fighter. You have the ability to be able to really be explosive at level 6. If you're able to start up something like the Dragon, try to get the other team to come fight you. Having level 6 on Morgana, having level 6 on Wukong, those are very, very powerful team fight ultimates, and you do have the ability to play, I think, more aggressively and go for these kind of pure damage builds when you have both the Karma and the Morgana behind you.
Also, get the feeling that this is kind of double chance at Aphelios.
Check it off.
Oh, nice. That's right. If you don't have your Dignitas Lineup Emote Bingo cards at the ready, make sure you look out on Twitter and find those, because definitely be expecting a lot of emotes, especially Nisqy in lane is a top-tier emoter while farming between the farming the minions. It's just high-level mechanics,
Yeah, exactly. Keeping the APM up with the emotes, and since I'm casting, I'm not actually going to be checking off the bingo card for myself as I go. I'm just going to assume that I won. So
nice.
Yeah.
If you never look, you always win.
You can't prove. You can't prove that I've lost.
Exactly. As Dardoch is waiting out here. There is a ward that we can see in towards Cloud9's jungle, but Dardoch's going to wrap in here. He's going to get spotted just barely. Nisqy, though, cheating to the left side, so he's going to be A-okay.
Yeah, that's the key. I mean, that's why Nisqy didn't even react to it, because he knows that he is far enough up towards that top side. As long as he is not going to get hit by a binding, he's staying in the minions, with the minions trying to keep those around so that Fenix can't get an easy binding. It's just too hard to actually make that gank happen. Wukong can make ganks happen, but it's generally about someone overextending. Blaber should know that he has been spotted, as Lourlo immediately did back off, and with the ward expiring, you can actually see the ward corpse, for lack of a better term there. So they will know that they have been spotted out, but that is just such a key principle of mid lane, is actually playing to the side that your jungler is playing on.
Ooh.
It makes it very risky. I don't think I've ever seen that.
I haven't seen that one either.
A little pool party Pengu.
Yeah. It's very chill. I mean, they're farming up mid lane, so it kind of makes sense. Dardoch here wrapping top side though, but I don't think he's going to really have an angle onto Licorice until this wave pushes back out.
Man, Lourlo has actually missed a lot of farm. The fact that he is down 5 CS and there's basically a full extra wave for Licorice to collect is somewhat surprising. That to me just means like that you just straight up miss CS, or you're just really scared of the early actual fighting, so you're trying to just use your AoE abilities, push things out, which is going to make you miss CS. Licorice is trying to set up a freeze. He, obviously knew that Lourlo's trying to reset there. That is why Dardoch came towards the top side to try to cover a push. So just in case Volibear was there, that's kind of when you are at your most exposed as a top laner, when you're trying to reset. Instead, Licorice just pulls off that little freeze. This forces Lourlo to stay around. He's not willing to just base and try to TP back for it. And Blaber knows that Wukong's top side, so they could potentially look for a gank here.
Blaber leaping in, but cannot chase down Aphro. Just gets a Q to the face and backs off.
It would have had to be like such a big commitment to that gank, and with Zven already low, it's just kind of down here. He doesn't have anything to farm on this side, so he's like, all right, I'll just show and just try to make it easy for Zven and Vulcan to farm under the turret. I mean, sure, you could try to flash over the Q and really commit to it, but it's probably not going to work out, and then there's a chance of just getting tethered and actually burst down. As early on, the bot lane does have a pretty good opportunity to turn around ganks like that, because junglers haven't purchased up any HP whatsoever. We can see Dardoch, still hasn't actually based. He still has not gone back whatsoever. He is out of mana. He should be basing after this Gromp right here, but is a fair bit behind as far as the farm goes from Blaber, who has taken down 2 additional camps and taken the time to actually base. They are now looking to threaten crashing this wave, and they're going to go for a dive. Nisqy has level 6. Here it goes.
There. Pengu up, gold cut out. Lourlo going to be first blooded ASAP. There's the dunk out of Sett, and there it is for Volley. It's a first blooded grab. Fenix up here as well.
Ooh,
that's a very nice bind onto Licorice. But they're still going to go for it. It's 1v2 with the gold card. Going to force Fenix to flash, and Blaber does not want to chase under the tower.
Yeah, I think that's smart. As soon as he flashes there, Blaber doesn't have flash, so if you try to commit too far in, that could be a turnaround kill. Nice response from Fenix, but job well done. Mission accomplished there from Cloud9. Lourlo just got punished so heavily for that. It's Licorice going to match him in mid lane. Lourlo respawned. He just goes mid. They're actually swapping over here because Fenix was still up to top lane, so there's no point in Lourlo just TPing back to top and competing for that farm or forcing Fenix to go. So they're just going to have kind of this short-term lane swap right now. But, that was just really well orchestrated by Z9, all the way back to that little mini freeze that Licorice actually put on to force him to stay. Then Licorice just took a long time building up a slow push. So when you're building up this slow push, you have a massive amount of minions, and Lourlo wasn't able to basically fight in that minion wave, so he has to sit back, wait at the tower, try to wait and actually collect that. And what can happen is you fall behind in experience. So there's this huge wave coming in, pre-level 6, mind you. That is why they can actually go for this dive, and not only will they kill him off, but look at that entire wave that he's actually missing. Nisqy tanks up a lot of turrets here. It was a nice binding by Fenix that does actually catch Licorice to trade that back, but that's 2.5, 3 waves that do end up dying to the turret that Lourlo is not going to be able to get.
Yeah, at least for Dig, they did manage to get the Drake, which is actually extremely rare against Cloud9. They almost always get all the Drakes, but especially the first one. So thanks to the maneuvering there, Dig were able to at least make sure they got that objective. But this is, the thing, this is, enemy team's Twisted Fate versus your Twisted Fate every time, right? Like, Cloud9 are just so good at playing with this champion that, right on cue, as soon as level 6 happens, they already know when Nisqy's first ult's going to be. Everyone who needs to be in the area is there, and they execute the play. And almost always, they end up with something beneficial. In this case, it was First Blood.
First Blood, a large CS advantage already, and they're taking down on this bottom side.
Oh, still going. Blaber's got to get going. Still bring it out. Get a stun in onto the Karma. Aphro getting low. See you later. As Blaber's able to take him down, but here comes Dardoch with the spins. Vulcan getting low. Needs to reattach. Can't do it. That's the cat dead. As now Zven going to have to try and get out of there. He's got no summoners. He's dead as well. What a great counter gank there from Dardoch.
Yeah, really well done by Dardoch, showing up at the correct time. It looked like, I don't know if Vulcan detached to try to get an auto off there, or what exactly he was doing, but Wukong was ulting, and he, detached and basically just gave over an extra kill. I'm not sure if he would have gotten chased down or not. This did feel like an overcommitment, though, from C9, and if you're willing to fight them, you can go for it. I felt like as soon as Aphro flashed, you could just back off. They don't actually know where Wukong is. You can see TF Ultimate still wasn't up, so yes, they kill off Aphro, but the Chukrams are stacked up. Johnsun is just pummeling him, and Vulcan, I think, did go over to try to heal up his jungler and save him there. That's how he got caught out. So Dardoch picking up a couple of kills. Johnsun gets a kill. That is very big for Dignitas. A nice win for them on that bottom side, which really has been, I think, the major point of strength for this team, despite the fact that they have lost all of their games. Johnsun and Aphro have been a really strong duo. They have often been the only reason that they are competitive in a lot of these games. You know, they're usually in a pretty good spot, and again, here we have them up a bit in farm. Now have gotten some kills. They already had taken a turret plate on the bottom side, and they're going to rotate up towards the top side with this Rift Herald and potentially look for a first turret.
Yeah, this is all looking good for the early game here for Dig. Again, Lourlo is certainly having a bad time, but now Licorice is in a 1v2 as Johnsun and Aphro continue to find ways to get ahead. Actually, Licorice getting perked up pretty significantly there. Is in danger of being dove here by the Wukong, even without Dardoch having ulti, and Dardoch's just going to chase him off. Has the Herald if he wants to drop it down, so starting to split the map a little here as Blaber is going to come down to pick on the other top laner, which is the Lourlo that's still very far behind. Good E, though, is going to push Blaber back, and that's just going to leave space on the bottom side.
Yep, we'll see who actually does get this first turret. You would expect it to be the team with the Rift Herald up on that top side, but they are knocking down this turret down here pretty quick. Rift Herald is summoned, so Dignitas should win that race. You know, obviously that true damage makes such a big difference in actually getting that down quickly. And you can see that Dardoch and Aphro backed off to give a lot of that gold over to Johnsun. He got 610 with those plates, plus the first turret going down just from that little burst, plus he would have gotten a portion of those previous 3 turrets. So Johnsun getting a lot of money here, and yeah, I mean, Lourlo's going to be pretty worthless, but
3v3 time. Oh, Aphro, no, not the target. That's a great Sett ulti onto Johnsun. They're going to get both there as Cloud9 able to take down 2 targets very swiftly.
Yeah, really nicely done. Good response from Cloud9. Dignitas got a bit greedy trying to actually push in, and not only did they want to get the second charge, it looked like they actually wanted to push for the second turret, but you have to respect the fact that Blaber is over there, TF Ultimate is back up, and you are going to be outnumbered. Fenix didn't have his teleport to actually respond and make that an even number play, so you just have to look at your position on the map. You know, there's no TP from either of the soul laners from Dignitas. Dardoch had actually backed off. TF ulti is up. You don't know where Blaber is. This is just not a situation you want to be putting your bottom lane in, and that is Dignitas, you know, getting greedy after a good series of plays and getting punished very heavily. You just can't afford to make those kind of mistakes against Cloud9. You've got to be respecting the TF Ultimate. You need to have accurate cooldown tracking for that ultimate in particular, because it really dictates whether or not you get to play the game in side lanes.
And they did not in that instance, as noted. Nope. Nisqy, though, getting harassed a little by Johnsun, so at least bringing some pressure to mid lane. Actually, another Dragon is available, which is why Dig have very quickly moved onto this Cloud, and they will actually get this. Cloud9 not available to try and contest. They're actually busy resetting themselves, so on the Drake front, Dignitas are doing a nice job of snowballing that objective. Gold lead is up 1,000 for Cloud9, which is nice, but not a massive amount. There's still a lot of work to do, certainly, and things like leaving your dual lane out to dry when TF's ulti is up is not going to contribute to your early game, but all things considered, especially given the type of comp that Dig are drafting, they're actually holding up quite nicely in this early game.
I agree. I mean, the gold is where they want it. Yeah, they are a little bit behind in gold. They're down 1k, but they're actually 800 plus gold ahead on their Aphelios. You have a Morgana and a Karma to actually be there. There is a big disadvantage on Lourlo, but to be honest, you know, Mordekaiser is always going to be somewhat annoying. We'll see if Fenix can find this all in.
Nice ult, Black Shield up as well. Nice stasis there for Nisqy. Still the Potter comes back down. He's going to be forced to flash there, and Dardoch was zooming in. So Nisqy does have to burn the cooldown to stay alive. A very nice all-in from Fenix.
Yeah, really well done. It looked like he found that binding from kind of over the wall there, a little bit outside of vision. And he has the Super Soaker, the GLP is done. So that in combination with the ultimate is a pretty powerful all-in tool if you can actually land that binding. So Nisqy used the stopwatch appropriately though to actually immune the second chunk of damage coming out there from the ultimate, and that in combination with the summoners does let him get out. But yeah, just quickly back to that Lourlo point, you know, even if you are behind on Mordekaiser, at the very least you can just ult someone and take them out of the fight, and you can basically ult them even at times and just sometimes run away, and it's like you're both removed from the fight. Yeah, you might not be in a position to actually win that fight, but if you can take a Fed member out, that can allow the strong members on your team the time they need to win it for you.
Certainly so, as Fenix now going to go ahead and get himself blue buff. There's actually a couple of bodies here in mid lane as Nisqy is continuing to receive some pressure. But Dardoch, of course, is going to see that ward, so Nisqy is going to back away.
I mean, this is just smart, right? It's smart play from Dignitas. You attack the global. Instead of going up towards top lane or bot lane, where TF can respond to, go towards the TF, try to keep him locked in, and really try to punish him with that wave clear.
Ooh, Q hitting Afro, but he's going to be okay. Pops the shield to speed himself out. Blaber and Vulcan trying to group up and get a little bit of vision control back over this right side area of the map. There isn't a dragon up for 2 minutes and 30 seconds, so it does just seem like teams are trying to reinforce the point of attack you mentioned, which is, of course, this global in mid. Licorice having a great time, though. Farming up a storm, takes out the Grump, has a Blade of the Ruin King already done. He's currently hiding from Dardoch, though, because I think he suspects that something is not right in the jungle.
Something is amiss, and I mean, I like what Dignitas is doing here. The only problem with it, though, is they're not actually going to be picking up as much farm because of their lane assignments. They're really kind of overloading mid lane right now, trying to pressure Nisqy. So if you don't get anything more from that, like, look at bottom lane. Who's answering that? You know, are they going to have to commit a teleport to pick up this farm? They are sending Johnsun down now. Zven is trying to shove this as fast as possible. We'll see if he's able to zone out Johnsun whatsoever on this, because we do see Vulcan and Blaber moving over here, trying to potentially threaten a dive, because Johnsun is isolated and has been poked down.
That is some accurate Mystic shots there from Zven. They're actually just going to get a little bit of damage onto the tower, but not wanting to overcommit here again. Dardoch and Fenix always threatening another roam. They have been glued together for a lot of this game, it feels like. And rightly so. It's a very powerful combination between their two team fighting ultimates, but Cloud9 just going to play respectfully. No need to overreach in these situations. Just coast on the gold lead you have right now, and eventually you can exploit a mistake in the side lane, or just keep getting a farm advantage if Dig do want to continually force Nisqy to have to dance around 3 or 4 people.
Yeah, it is interesting to me that they haven't actually just moved Zven towards mid lane. I'm expecting them to do that soon, because they have, you know, better split pushers. They should be more effective in that 1-3-1. It is nice to have TF, you know, in that mid lane to be able to respond more easily to both sides, but if this is going to be Dignitas' response and Nisqy's just locked under his turret, well, you don't get the opportunity to do that anyway. So they are now finally kind of moving those lanes around. I think this makes a lot of sense. Just park Zven here. Any 1v1, you know, that Mordekaiser takes right now, he is going to be losing. Licorice is so much stronger, and the fact that you're, you know, building the armor and not a lot of HP and no MR, you know, for Lourlo means he could get picked on by Nisqy as well. We can see that it's going to be Lichbane second. So, you know, if you're able to just pressure these side lanes, should have enough wave clear here to keep things relatively safe in that mid lane.
Twin Shadows pop there for Fenix. Does have both the GLP and the Spooky Ghost built up, so has quite a lot of crowd control he can offer to try and set up for himself for the binding. Also level 12. So feeling pretty comfy here as Dig do want to threaten for this streak. This would be the 3rd straight here for Dignitas, so I imagine Cloud9 are trying to fight here. It's going to be a 4v4 with Nisqy potentially able to flank.
Yep. They just want to get them poked out first. You can see that Licorice has base. He has teleport. You know, he's going to spend up all that gold. TF is in the area too. Cloud9 want to play this slow. You don't want the hard engage. You actually just want to poke them out with Ezreal, with Yuumi. Zven is trying to push out mid lane, and they got Fenix.
That's a really good spring onto Fenix, and he's dead. No stasis to speak of. Dardoch spinning around, trying to cut up Nisqy, but that's not really doing too much here. Blaber low, but is going to die as the Mordekaiser is able to TP in, and Nisqy now has to get out, but he's gone behind the enemy team. Now going to stun up Afro as Licorice low, but the Haymaker popped, and does get the dunk as well in onto Lourlo. Flashes past him, is able to get the kill. Now Zven over the top alongside the Twist of Fate as Cloud9 should be able to finish up this fight. That is Johnsun down. That means Dardoch's the only one left alive, and it looked a little messy, but Cloud9 do manage to navigate that team fight.
Yeah, it is a little bit messy. It is the 4-for-2 in the end, though. They should be able to also grab the dragon. I think only, honestly, a miscommunication prevented them from actually getting the ace there. Both Nisqy and Licorice looked like they thought the other one was going to finish off Dardoch, who was incredibly low. We saw Nisqy actually ulting away while being hit by Dardoch. Licorice turned away and ran towards the rest of the team fight there too. So, you know, close to an ace for Cloud9, but they still play it very, very well. And we can see their strength in these skirmishes once more. You know, not a team to easily give up that soul point. So we'll watch this one more time. It's just the ghost coming out, you know, kind of the surprise angle there. Fenix tried to respond, you know, with a binding. I'm not sure if he didn't have the Black Shield available or just was too slow to react. then Blaber getting the dunk onto Johnsun, onto Afro. They get them very low. This is what I'm talking about. Look at Dardoch. He had like 1 attack of health left at one point there, and both Licorice and Nisqy just kind of left him, assuming that the other would get him. Then Licorice flashes forward there, trying to finish off multiple members. He gets knocked down. So it will be Dardoch just barely surviving, but Cloud9 still win the fight very heavily and grab the dragon, preventing that soul snowball.
Yeah, it's pretty wild to watch a put comp like navigate different fronts of a fight after the initial pick, but really cool looking stuff for Cloud9, and it is funny that Dardoch lived as the only one actually after all that. Fenix,
survivor.
Yep, Fenix is going to slow Licorice, but nothing will come of any potential dive here. And Blaber now going to go ahead and finish off the Rift Herald. So things kind of back to normal here for Cloud9, up about 3,500 gold. Still some towers to knock down, still plenty of gold to pick up on either side, but the first major engagement going the way of Cloud9 there, and they do also stop the Dragon Snowballs, so Dignitas' early game may have run out here.
Yeah, I mean, I think they still have good opportunities to try to get the 5v5, but the problem is going to be, does Cloud9 ever actually give you that fight that they want? And how intelligent Cloud9 is about actually navigating it, right? You know, even the fact that they had their squad split up and essentially kind of skirmishing, you know, on 2 sides makes it so that Dardoch can't get this 5-man Wukong Dream ulti. You know, Fenix can't hit everyone with his ultimate either, right? They're only presenting a couple targets at a time. They are looking for this kill on Nisqy, though, as Lourlo is losing this fight.
Yeah, Nisqy can't get out of the death realm, but here comes reinforcements. Nisqy, Licorice and Blaber are here, sorry, but Nisqy already going to go down to Lourlo. Now it's going to be a 2v3. Nice binding there for Fenix, but Cloud9 still wanting to maybe fight here. They're onto Dardoch. They've decided the target is they want. Zven and Vulcan are going to fight the other dual lanes as they meet them in transition, but Blaber still fighting it out. Licorice getting the dunk down, and Blaber still going alongside Licorice, handily winning the 2v3 as Dardoch's going to be chased down, and I think Blaber should be able to stun him. Yep, there's the stun, there's the pullback from Licorice, and that's the kill for Cloud9, despite losing their Twisted Fate.
Yeah, I think they can actually just start Baron here. They just killed Dardoch right beside it. You have Blade of the Rune King on your Sett, so a lot of damage out from him. 2 items already completed. Yeah, so they're just going to go for it. That could actually just be the game-ending play, to be honest with you. They're up 5,000. If they get Baron here, this is going to be devastating, but Dignitas has 3 members. They're going to look for the stop.
Yeah, it's going to be 4v3. Don't forget, Vulcan is still attached to Licorice right now. Johnsun going to be the next target. Nisqy coming in hot. Johnsun dead to Zven. Afro dead as well. They'll just take the Baron, I think, also on top of it as Nisqy pops up the Pengu. Phoenix going to throw a binding out just in case, but there is no steal to be had here. It's just Cloud9 victory all the way.
Yep, it's all over but the crying, it feels like, for Dignitas, as Cloud9 just explode into action there, able to turn what was a successful kill on Nisqy into this long extended skirmish that gets them multiple kills, that takes down the jungler, that gets them the Baron. And notice that they have TF coming back from base with the ultimate here. They have the presence of mind to realize we don't even need Blaber to ever actually peel from the Baron, so he doesn't even allow it to reset. Zven, as well as Nisqy and Vulcan there, were more than enough to actually kill off those multiple members as TF had respawn. You know, that started with TF dying, he respawned, ults back in, they get the kills, they get the Baron. They're enormously ahead, and this could just be GG on this push, honestly. Cloud9 is so good at closing out in these types of situations. They're getting the waves pushing, bot lane should be pushing, mid lane is going to be Baron buffed up here by Nisqy, and you know, if Dignitas does not respond appropriately, they're going to start bleeding out turrets very, very quickly, and there is always potential of a dive when you have Volibear to turn off those turrets, and you know, so many go buttons basically here for Cloud9.
Gonna have to go quickly if Mark Z's under is going to be correct, but still looking like a pretty quick end here potentially for Cloud9.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we're going to get to 24-minute end. I think there's a good chance that Dignitas should be able to defend it, and they are going to find an engage here.
Oh, looking for something here. That's a good spin from Dardoch. Blaber getting low, but Cloud9 still fighting it out. Good stun there for Nisqy as Blaber flashes out. Zven here with a big true shot barrage. Almost finds 5. Just Lourlo instead going to be tagged up. He's had an absolutely miserable time in the 1v1. And then throughout the rest of the game, Cloud9, they do get engaged on, but they managed to hold on, and the push is not over yet.
Yeah, good attempt at a pick there from Dignitas. You know, they do at least get the flash, the ult, the stopwatch, all off of Blaber, but he's so damn tanky because he has a ton of farm. You know, he's up in levels, he's gotten a bunch of kills and assists too, so Cloud9 will not be able to actually push in and close out the game here whatsoever, but They have taken the last of the outer turrets. You know, they have potential still a couple more waves to maybe try to push in. They're taking the dragon at the same time, so they're just kind of checking all the boxes here, feeling like they are in a really comfortable spot. I don't think they need to risk anything, and they can still just play to spread the map, to look for picks, you know, with the TF ulti. And we can actually see Nisqy is going for a very aggressive build here. You know, the standard is that third item Zhonya's, but with the Kerchi's Shard, he's going to be going for rapid fire, and that's just to help their engage, you know, give you those long range gold cards to be able to, you know, more easily grab picks.
Yeah, definitely a very snowball heavy item, but Nisqy has earned that right, certainly alongside the rest of Cloud9. I think just looking back at this game, thinking about how much happened just from the way Licorice played his 1v1 in lane, like the play that led to the Baron was a legitimate 2v3 in top lane after Nisqy got picked off, which can kind of only happen when Lourlo was kept down for as long as he was based on all the things that happened with that first CF ult. So very impressive 1v1 there for Licorice, navigating a counter pick in this case of the Mordekaiser. But it's funny to think like Cloud9 just understand every little thing that happens, and they know exactly, okay, we've done this work, therefore we can attack this angle. It's how much they take advantage of once they understand what openings they have has been really impressive.
Yeah, it's the total package, right? You know, it's not just that there was a really well-timed TF gank and Volibear was there. You know, that was great from the mid laner and the jungler to be there on that wave, you know, pre-level 6. But had Licorice actually not frozen the wave early, well, Lourlo might have just based and been in a better position and not been at risk there. Had Licorice not actually properly managed that slow push, zoning his opponent from experience and actually setting up this huge wave to crash, you know, right pre-level 6, then it couldn't happen. So it's like everything is happening correctly at the same time, and they're coordinating very, very well. And I think Licorice did an incredible job to set that up. And to your point, you know, that really was one of the key kind of inflection points in this game that put Cloud9 pretty far ahead.
Turns out there are very few accidents when it comes to how Cloud9 play League of Legends currently. Not that there are none, but there are very few, as they're up well and truly above 10,000 gold. You know, again, slightly slower than predicted, let's say. 26 minutes, still very respectable. Dig, we've seen them, you know, go for team fights. They certainly have the champions and the composition to make something happen around their base. But as we've seen, Cloud9 just give you very little opportunities to come back into the game once they have a lead, especially a lead of this magnitude.
And it's just one of those situations like, when you're behind as the team fight team against a comp that is able to play side lanes and move around the map more effectively as Cloud9 is with the TF, it becomes very hard because it's like, sure, yeah, as Dig, if all of Cloud9 are grouped up as 5 and you find the the massive Wukong ult and the Morgana ult and all this stuff and you're Infernum ulting them with Aphelios, they all get AoE down and they all die. But the reality is they just slowly choke you out and they don't present themselves as a 5-man squad to give you that opportunity. They play the side lanes, they control vision, they take away your jungle camps. I mean, Blaber's 3 levels up on Dardoch now, and Dardoch's actually had a good game. So, this is just one of those situations where less and less areas in the map, remain yours as Dignitas, and it just gets so hard to find safe spots to farm.
If you're ever wondering how confident Cloud9 are feeling, just watch Zven shift in mid lane, trying to poke down Johnsun. Get rooted by Gravitum, but still not really matter. Now has to get out of there, but does have the Arcane Shift back up for the incoming binding. And Nisqy and his Rapid Fire Cannon are starting to work on this bottom lane, as Cloud9 can happily split all 3 lanes right now. They've also got Baron to fall back to in a couple seconds, if that's something they even need. And Dardoch, oh, I do love that emote. Everything's fine.
Dardoch on that pink ward, that's about as far as their vision gets, right? They don't even have vision of their Raptors or anything. Like, this is showing you how Dignitas is completely pinned in. They're trying to get control of mid lane to then push out and take vision elsewhere, but they can get flanked here. Blaber is coming over, so is Licorice, and TF has ult, so guess what? You're fighting.
Here comes the pinch. Dardoch forced to ulti already. Nisqy going to get in there. Blaber just pops down with the Stormbringer. See you later, Dardoch. Fenix going to fall as well. Lourlo getting low. Is Vulcan able to claim the kill on the Morgana? Blaber still diving the backline, though, as the dual lane has no chance. It's looking to be an ace here for Cloud9, as they've got 3 already. Going to force Johnsun and aphromoo back. Everyone's flashing in there for the last few kills. Nisqy draws a red card, but it still doesn't matter. That's going to be the Bud Light ace as aphromoo falls down, and the emotes fly wild as Cloud9 look to march towards the end.
I love how Licorice, instead of just looking for the end, he's TPing to his tier 1 turret bot lane to try to get an extra kill there. It's a very Cloud9-esque, but they will push in. they will be able to close this one out, I would think. At the very least, they're going to take inhibitors and then retreat back towards this Baron. Grab another dragon if they want to be really, really safe, but it's a long time until Johnsun and Aphro are up, so they do have the opportunity to try to threaten Nexus turrets, but safer play is definitely go for Baron and continue stacking towards the Soul, and it looks like that will be the call here from Cloud9.
Yep, only 2 inhibitors and a full ace, and maybe this dragon, and definitely this Baron at the end of it all for Cloud9. Just an embarrassment of riches, as Blaber's going to wander over to the Baron. Red buff has been stolen by Zven, as Cloud9 actually, you know what, I think they know they can wait a little bit on the Baron. Probably Dignitas isn't going to get it. Want to make sure they get this dragon. It's a significantly easier objective to kill, and they're cleaning out the rest of Dig's jungle while they're at it, so...
Yeah. I mean, they took literally every jungle camp, right?
Yes.
So poor Dardoch wanders back out, and it's like, well, there's nothing for me to farm. Are the wolves up? Nope. Okay, how about the Crooks? Nope, not there either. Alrighty then. Guess I'm standing in a bush and waiting to see if I can ult someone.
And maybe around the back of this Baron, that is an opportunity. There is a control ward now placed by Johnsun, so if there was ever time for everybody to hang out in this shrubbery and hope that Cloud9 face check you.
It's just like so unthreatening though. Dardoch is level 12. Who are you going to ult? Level 15 jungler, the level 16 soul laner, the level 17 mid laner, right?
Ooh, the bait! I like it a lot! Dardoch going to leave it onto Zven, but here comes Nisqy. Zven's fine for now. And the stun card does hit onto Dardoch to prevent the follow-up. Phoenix looking for the binding does not connect, and still the poke is coming in hot from Vulcan and Zven. When you don't kill the Ezreal with the Yuumi attached, the Yuumi's going to make him so healthy so quickly. In fact, Vulcan's just detached from Zven. He's done. Heals him back up, and unfortunately, I like the play. It just it didn't get the job done.
It's a great attempt, but you're just so far behind, right?
Yeah.
If that's a normal game with a close bit of gold and experience, then that's fine. But it's like the guy who is face checking you, sure, it's the marksman, but he's 4 levels up on your jungler, and he has Death Dance, he has QSS, he has the Iceborne, he has the additional healing from Blade of the Rune King. Like there's just so much there to help keep him safe, and they even have Mikhails on the Yuumi, so it's like they have double cleanse essentially here. It's very, very difficult to burst anyone down, and that was pretty much the ideal type of catch that Dignitas could hope for, and they still couldn't get the kill, and I think that tells you just about all you need to know about their position in the game.
Hope Zven also wouldn't do that if the game was more even, but I think feeling fairly confident there.
He's done it before.
That's true. See if overconfidence in the future can potentially be the ultimate undoing of Cloud9. Again, going for it again. Dardoch driving through with the black shield on. It's a decent touch of the team fight. Licorice low, and now dead there as Blaber popping in the backside, jumps on Phoenix's face as Zven's able to finish off the last hit. Still a 4v4, but as we've noted all game long, these aren't very even 4v4s.
No, I mean, they engaged onto Zven. They got him to like 90% health or something like that,
Got him low.
Licorice,
Made him think about it.
Did kind of charge in there pretty adventurously. Does get taken down, but the Nexus turrets are under siege here. Blaber is just buffing up these minions on bot and mid lane, and Zven is very aggressively just sieging forward here. This turret's going to go down.
Oh, Johnsun. Forced to use the cleanse now. They're going to take out this tower as well. Nisqy just walking forward with the gold card ready to threaten Zven, leaping forward with the cat attached. As Nisqy's just using everything. Just popping in there with the cleanse and the flash.
Oh no, he's just ulting 2 feet forward, popping the cleanse, dropping the Summer Pengu there. Looking to close this one out, but Dignitas does have good wave there. I mean, Johnsun is really strong legitimately. He's just struggling to actually get anything done with it.
Infernum blasting away on these Baroned up minions, trying to clear it out ASAP. Everything is just falling to pieces. Lourlo is so low for the Mystic Shot poke. Here's Dardoch again. This looks like a last-ditch effort. Is dead though to Zven, who's going to go godlike. And now Dig, with only their Nexus to try and defend. Their Fountain, the only safe haven. Nisqy is going to die to Johnsun. C9 may have overreached, but no, it doesn't look like it. There's a double in for Zven. Maybe going to make it the triple here onto Phoenix. That's 3. Zven getting low. Dies to the laser. Rip the man's KDA, as Aphro is the only one left alive. But the Nexus will crumble, and Cloud9 are going to make it 8 straight wins.
Nisqy rightfully dies at the very least for Dignitas. He's trolling in the base. He deserved to have the KDA hurt there a bit. But this one, wasn't very close. Cloud9, obviously pretty dominant overall. Credit deserved by Dignitas for how they played out, I think, some of the early stages. I do think the counter gank, by Dardoch was really, really nice. That was a bit of a step too far from Cloud9, kind of over chasing, getting punished there. But right after Dignitas kind of threw that right back to Cloud9, over pushing on top side, looking for that second turret, on the same push, not respecting the TF, getting punished there. And likewise, that stacked dive on that level 5 Mordekaiser up on the top side is something that people have got to get better about defending, because we do see these plays more and more as top laners are getting more comfortable actually manipulating the waves, setting it up for this slow push to pre-level 6 dive these people with TF. I mean, TF is around all the time. Your jungler needs to be there to buy the time for your mid laner to actually teleport in, right? It's not that you're supposed to just defend it in that 2v3. Your mid laner is still supposed to come, as Fenix did, but you got to be there really, really fast, or the game is essentially over for your top laner off of that. And Lourlo, not really much he can do in that 1v3 type situation, so he was out of the game very, very early.
Yeah, it was just kind of a snowball from there for Cloud9. Another good-looking win there. It's time for us to step away there, but when we return, we'll see how the State Farm Analyst Desk fared in their over-under predictions.
Mark lost.
Hello and welcome back to the LCS after Cloud9 has dispatched Dignitas. But I gotta be honest, gentlemen, we teased this matchup like it was going to be incredibly lopsided. And while I would argue that Cloud9 was never in danger of losing this game, I think Dignitas played a lot closer than many of us expected.
Yep, Dardoch had a really good showing, I think, as one of the people who surprised me the most, and as well as the bot lane. And those combined made this a super close game, actually, for the first 15 minutes of the game.
And this was a good response from Fenix there. We know what Twisted Fates love to do, especially when you have a strong side top laner, and going for that dive and being able to counter it is a pretty good move there out of Dignitas. And then here they go again, expecting, okay, here comes the dive, and immediately Dardoch is pathing towards the bottom side, trying to make sure that he can protect his bottom lane. When Cloud9 overcommits, well, here comes the big punishment from the monkey, who is now not only making his way into the top side, but into the jungle.
It's a weird feeling, because on the one hand I'm like, sick, more people are playing Wukong, and then I'm like, but they're playing it versus Cloud9, they're going to hurt his win rate. So selfishly, I'm a little upset, but I think overall I thought everyone who subbed in looked pretty good for Dignitas, and Fenix as well was able to keep up with the emote spam in the mid lane.
Oh, look at that one. That was a dabbing penguin.
Yeah, well, we'll check in with the Emote Bingo in just a bit. But before we do, I want to talk a little bit more about this game and the fact that Dignitas did play close. Probably, what was your take on Dignitas' showing? I mean, so far we've just been kind of trying to rank and order teams based on their losses against Cloud9. Where do you feel this fell in the grand scheme of losses to Cloud9?
Yeah, so it's not the upper echelon where we saw like TL kind of hold a gold lead against them or anything like that, but definitely for a team who just had a roster swap, this was probably in the top 5 losses against C9, I would say. Yeah, it wasn't a big stomp. They did have fighting moments back, but it's C9. So I'm still going to say I'm pretty happy with the way Dig played today.
I like how you mentioned it's C9, because Chloe from our stats team gave us a really interesting stat about C9. This was a 32-minute game. Dignitas did not take any jungle camps from the 22-minute mark onwards. There was a 10-minute period where Cloud9 just owned the entire Dig jungle, and that's how they're really building this gold discrepancy.
I gotta say, Chloe was giving us some other great stats in Dignitas' favor. That this was they were able to set Zven behind further than he's ever been set behind in the early game. This was the first time that he hasn't been ahead at CS, and his worst goal differential this split at 10. So some pretty impressive stuff out of Dignitas.
Yeah, well, now I'm starting to wonder why you guys are on the desk and Chloe isn't. But we'll leave that to be solved at a later date. Let's dive into some of these over-unders that we teased at the top of the day. The first one was game time. We put the line at 24 minutes, and I'll be honest, there was a period just cresting 20 minutes where I thought that might be a possibility when Cloud9 found a certain fight, but again, Dignitas extended it.
I was pretty far off by about 10 minutes.
Yeah, I think Mark was the only one who went under there. It was a bold prediction, but again, Dignitas held fast. So let's move right along to the next one, and this was the amount of turrets that Dignitas would be able to topple in the game. We put the over-under at 1.5. If I remember correctly, all of you believed that Dignitas would take no more than one turret, and the result? My goodness.
One turret.
You got one right.
This is still not bad. Like, I still reference the whole mid lane turret in spring for C9 that never died. Like, still taking one turret is something. It's, scratching at the kings.
Yeah, that's a very good point, right? Yeah, in comparison from split to split, this is a much better start for a lot of teams. Finally, combined kills per minute. The line was at 0.83 combined kills per minute. That's very high already as a line. And guess what? In this game, we were well over. This is the new bloodiest game out of Cloud9 this split. It was previously against FlyQuest at 0.9. This one was 0.94, almost a kill a minute in this one.
I got him all right.
That's all Crumbs is coming away with.
That's it. Who else?
That's all he comes away with.
I will say, I thought that the combined kills per minute would not get that high because I didn't trust Dignitas to hang with them long enough for like the big team fights to go close. But they were able to actually find some kills in the later portion of the game, even after C9 got their first bear, and they were still finding kills. So it was very impressive for me out of Dignitas that they were not just. We've talked about how people can get the first kills on C9. That's actually not the hard part. It's doing it post 20 minutes, and they did that. So that I was pretty impressed.
Yeah, honestly, very pleased with the way that Dignitas performed today. We've got one more thing left to discuss, and that would be Emote Bingo. Now, unfortunately, within this game, I don't believe any of us hit the jackpot in getting all 5 in a row. So we're going to extend the bingo across the day. But for those of you keeping track at home, I'm going to call out every single emote that our observers caught. Not all of these will be found on a bingo card, but you can mark these off just in case you didn't see them. So let's see here. We had the Pengu Dab. We had Crying Jinx. We had Graves Sunglasses. Teemo Thumbs Up. Not the one, foam finger. The thumbs up. Pool Pengu rather. Game Over. Fizz. Silas. Happy Bee. Regular Thumbs Up. And Sunglasses Pengu. So if you're playing along at home, make sure you mark those off. But we're going to just go ahead and extend this game. It's no longer just C9 versus Dig Bingo. It's all day Emote Bingo. Any of you feeling like you're super close? Mark, how many you got in a row there?
I only have 2. I have 2 if we count the free space diagonal, bottom left to top right, and I have 2 on my left column, but I'm not feeling great because those are not super popular ones.
Okay.
I don't think I'm doing too good.
I'm feeling good.
All right, I
got 3 in a row in my right-hand column. So my farthest right column, I got 3 stacked. So we're right up there, but I think the ones missing are kind of rare. I don't think I've ever seen anybody rock the Blitzcrank. So maybe Core JJ plays it today and gives us that, but other than that, I'm not too hopeful.
Yeah, it's looking ugly for me. What about you, Probably? How does it look on your card?
I think I have a decent shot at my first row, but I'm looking for the Blitz question mark. But yeah, I've seen it before.
All right.
And then I'm looking for the Rammus Thumbs okay. But the one that I think might be impossible is the Sona laughing.
The Sona one is a tough one. Yeah, Sona one's a tough one. Either way, it sounds like Crumbs is the closest to hitting the bingo so far, but we got 3 more games left to close out the day. And so from there, gentlemen, any final thoughts on Dignitas and the way that Cloud9 continues to impress here as we move to the midway point of the split?
Great showing compared to yesterday. Was not feeling good about them yesterday, but today seeing them at least give it a much better shot against an opponent that they knew was a Goliath makes me really happy to see how this team is going to then play in the second half of the split.
All right, time for a quick breather, but after the break, we got FlyQuest taking on Team Liquid in that battle for second, so don't touch that browser.
Yeah, I'm married. Doesn't matter. You do that for me? Really? Yeah, I'd like that.
Who are you talking to?
It's Jake from State Farm. Sounds like a really good deal.
Jake from State Farm at 3 in the morning? Who is this?
It's Jake from State Farm.
What are you wearing, Jake from State Farm?
Khakis? Hey, do they ever ask you what you're wearing?
Yeah.
Red sweater, button-down shirt. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.